See, I've gotta figure out how to do this again.
I'm gonna wait a moment.
Yeah, I'm just
And
starting
Are
because,
you able to put this up on the screen?
Mhm.
Okay. Where's the rest of your committee?
yeah, they're on their way,
At least that's the story we have.
yeah. I'll text Chris in a minute if he's not here.
Yeah, well,
Somebody's here.
could be a double run.
Yes.
Hello, Chris.
Hey,
There's
Chris.
Chris.
Paul said he would be here, so. And
Okay. He has much further to drive than I do.
he was already in here for like 3 hours earlier,
Oh.
so,
He went home and took a nap.
yeah, probably.
He could be still asleep.
Well, if you have a cot, I could go take a nap right now.
I could take a nap right now too. I'm exhausted.
I thought you'd be totally fresh for this meeting.
We've had a lot of stuff go on recently.
Good.
Thoughts was on. He's not.
You want me to start with the slide deck?
Yes, please. Good.
Excuse me, that sounded like a question. I was nervous for a minute.
No, that's a statement.
Okay,
That's it.
that is it.
Yeah.
Yep, all right.
Jerry's a veteran of these meetings. He No,
Eyes in the back.
yes, you have to be able to move both directions.
I'm gonna call Paul, just see.
Okay.
All right, bye. It's coming into the parking lot.
Okay.
So what's new?
Work,
More work?
work to live, live to work.
I know. Excuse me.
You're gonna get everybody yawning.
I know.
Stop that.
Contagious. Okay, stop.
There's a thing like your room, audience, cough.
Oh.
And see how many seconds before you it's gonna.
I gotcha. Stop slamming the doors.
I thought we were meeting now.
It's still not working. They have to send somebody out.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Paul.
How are you? Hello, Mr. Wanky. Hello, Chuck.
Just to introduce everybody, Chuck is now a member of the planning committee. I appointed him
I
because
didn't-
Bob stepped down.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
So
that's great. So we
Just,
have-
just from the planning committee or? No, just from the planning. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What committee are you?
And we have Ryan Clintz was invited,
Yes,
but he'll be on the committee.
he just didn't have enough time, he didn't have enough notice in order for him to make it. That's my fault. I forgot he had been
Lots of
formally,
things are your fault.
if we were on camera,
So let's
This
go.
meeting is being recorded,
Okay.
so you'll have to behave yourself. Let's call the meeting to order at 3:06. And this is a workshop, so we don't need a quorum. We are not voting on anything, we never decide on anything. We're not recommending to the Board of Trustees anything.
Why is this a workshop at our normal time session?
Because there was no other items in our normal. So we are taking advantage of our normal time session to talk about some issues and share some information leading up to us making some decisions. So we're gonna start in your packet. Paul?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Kind of go through it and get to the slide deck, and that will be what we're gonna start with.
it's on the screen as well, but.
And this is a neck exercise for our visitors.
I have one extra packet if either of you want it.
If I can find it in my down.
I can, you can take my packet.
Okay, I got an extra one too.
Sure.
Give this one to Jerry. And we have an extra.
Okay. Okay, well, let's get started. We're gonna talk about, we're basically a town that was platted historically in 1880, surrounded by PUDs. And most of those PUDs are now inactive. And I've had some conversations with Clay, our previous town attorney, about what that means and how to move forward with that, because it generates some issues for the town. So we need to bring those PUDs in line with current town policy. But we have to follow a process to do that. And we'll be working with the new attorney to understand what that process is and the steps that we have to go through. Some of these things, these other three bullet points, I wanted to cover because we have new members on the planning commission, so I wanted to make them aware of that data, specifically only Chuck today. So you want to give me the next one, Melanie? So here's what we've got. You can see we've got the Clifton Company subdivision that was platted in 1880. The Clifton Company was associated with Denver and Rio Grande Railroad. And that's all of those lots. Building block for that subdivision is 25 by 125 foot lots. That you see only in what I'm calling historical West Cliff. And then we're surrounded by PUDs that were submitted for development going back to the 1980s. And the most recent one, which is Shadow Ridge, is like 2004 or 2004, about 20 years old. So we signed development agreements or some documents with the developers for those PUDs that still have force of law. And so things that we have passed, for example, we've passed an ADU ordinance that only applies to the Clifton Company subdivision. It does not apply to the PUDs. Because the documentation says that there will only be one dwelling on a lot in those. We cannot subdivide any of those lots. We don't have the authority to do that. So basically, the PUDs, we gave up a little bit of the town's sovereignty in terms of being able to make changes, add things like accessory dwelling units. And as a result, if you look at the next slide here, we have, and I don't.
I'm sorry, would you just go back to that slide that shows the whole town plot?
Sure.
plot there? So, well, first of all, the town plat. I have a different town plat in my personal possession. I should have brought it in, but it goes clear. The town goes clear to the east or to the west further. And I own some personal property there, but these streets go through there as the Second Street comes down further and so forth. I'll bring that into the town staff and they can make a copy of it, but we should include that on this plat.
Okay.
So it's an 1882 or something like that.
Yeah, I think 1880 is
Yeah.
the date of it.
Yeah.
It's up there somewhere. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know, because, we started this whole exercise updating basically the town path.
Right.
And then all kinds of issues came up as we dug into what was there.
So the only PUD that's current is Mission Plaza?
That's the only one that's active. And it has a mandatory POA. The lot owners pay annual dues. They did not dedicate the roads to us or the open space to us. So they have control over what's there, and whatever's in the initial PUD still rules there, including the CC&Rs.
So out of curiosity, since we were on the subject last month about subdividing a lot in Shadow Ridge, you said today that it can't be done, or if they allow it, we can allow it?
We do not have the authority to do a subdivision of a lot in Shadow Ridge.
But if they allow it first,
Well, the problem is in Shadow Ridge, there's no they.
but according to what I understand what the rules were, if they get a certain amount of people that okayed it, it could be okayed.
If they got together and got, I think, 2/3 of the
66%.
landowners to
Yes.
approve that in some way, then they could.
And same goes with,
And the other way it could happen is if we deem it to be inactive, go through a process where the town regains control of such things.
okay,
And I'm sure that process includes public meetings of all of the landowners. You made a comment the last time we had this conversation that maybe we have R10, we have R5. So if you look at so I went through the files for each of these PUDs, and you can see there's two separate
John, you have a question?
what's that? Oh,
Sorry, I do have a question.
yes.
So going through all of you showed us the map.
Yeah.
So going through all the records, that you have available in maps,
Yes,
Paul shows up and says he's got one that's different. So.
he's got one that's different for the Clifton Company that,
Well, it's, yes, it goes, further to the west and, like Chicago Street and so forth, down here. Try to read to get mine on it.
yes,
But that goes clear over to almost at Great Creek. And so the Second Street comes down further south and so forth. And so does, I can't remember that dotted line there is Chuck, you know that street.
Which street
and
is
that, what Paul's talking about is not here on the assessor's map.
And this street, oh, you're asking what this street is, like, is it Illinois?
Could be. So anyway,
Might be Illinois.
So what would be more accurate, the map he has or the map, you're working from?
I think that, well, this map here, a lot of this is not a map I have, because it's, it's done after 1882 or 1880. So, but if we add my map to this, then it would cover this area here.
This is basically a survey map done,
So what your map shows?
first done 25 years ago, maybe.
So
So
this map that we're looking at,
I would say his over the, at least the area that is covers would be the correct map over this.
and I can't say that for sure, because
No, I know, but.
there may have been purchases and lot line basically abandoned, made into one larger property.
We have.
It was a lot of research.
Yeah, I have examined, my wife has examined it.
Yeah.
Thoroughly.
Yeah.
And there was, we did one sale or exchange really with the Drews, just to make a street wider.
Okay.
The others are, it's just what it is. We haven't
Okay.
found any documentation that would change it, not in these files. anyway.
So to begin to answer your question, we started this out as let's update the zoning map of the town and make sure it's accurate. And as we dug into what was actually on the ground, we started running into these issues. Paul's just brought another one. So we need to understand what's missing on that map from the original plat from the Clifton Company.
Right.
And whether that still applies, whether it still has force of law or not. And so there's another grenade you just threw into our project. Thank you, Paul.
I know that in 2021, the town graded those roads, Chicago and Illinois, all the way over.
Yeah, all the way over to,
I'm not sure
to
exactly.
Second or,
To Second, and
because,
I know they went to Second.
because at Second you hit a fence that, the Drews grew.
Well, that's Drews. It's
The fence line.
Yeah, but the point is, it's never been used as a street.
Yeah.
So they just graze it or whatever.
Yeah.
But you could drop the street down,
Right.
Second Street down. That would make this a much better place to expand the
Yes,
community.
yeah,
They have no problem.
I totally agree.
I think there is a fence on Third Street, because my wife and I walk it all the time.
Well, there's a fence on Third Street, but we're talking about east and west on Hermit Road.
There's a fence on Third Street.
On Hermit, yes.
But you're saying Second Street should go through the Jerome
Right.
pasture.
Yeah. So the Giroux pasture, there, is the town charging them for putting cows out there?
No, my property, no.
Okay,
And since the jurors have been using it, do they know that it's not theirs? Or, how often do you have to just give them notice?
we don't know that.
Well, if they've had it for 10 years.
I don't know that.
Well, they would have to make the claim though, but,
Right.
so.
So we
I'll
have,
probably make the claim.
we have some research to do in that part of the town's footprint. Figure out what's what.
Well, let me just add one more thing. They purchased this property from my brother-in-law, my former, who's now gone, but,
Okay,
I could look at that document and see what they did purchase, but even if they did purchase, they did not purchase the streets that we own, that the town has platted. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
That's what I'm trying to say, is that.
It's still within town.
Yeah,
so the documentation which a title company should have looked at and identified a street, which they may or may not have.
right,
So, okay, so
especially if you didn't have. this-
research is required, so you can bring that purchase document and your map, your old map.
The person, I have to get that with my sister, I'll check and see if she has it here in Westland, she may have it back in Nebraska.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. It just gets more interesting, Paul.
more and more.
More and more. So, this chart or this table you're looking at kind of lays out how different the minimum lot sizes are, the minimum home sizes, the setbacks, even the maximum height. And then, for the PUDs, a subdivision is not allowed, an ADU is not allowed, and it's single family only. Whereas in the old historic part of town, the Clifton Company plat, we have, I think in 2017, we allow a duplex to be built. You need to have 2 lots to build currently, which I think is an issue. We allow duplex to be built on those 2 lots. But we also allow in our policy 2 separate dwellings. So I can on my 2 lots, put 2 separate dwellings if I say all, each one have a lot. But if I have a second lot, I can't do it. Which is a contradiction. And there's just no good reason to do that, especially when we have a minimum home size of 550 square feet.
Let me understand that, repeat all that, I'm sorry, I'm not quite.
Okay, so right now, you know this, to build in the older part of town on the Clifton subdivision, you need 2 lots to build a house.
Yes,
Because our minimum lot size is 6250, which is the sum of 2 lots.
Right.
But in 2017, we said you can build a duplex on that lot.
On 2 lots.
On those 2 lots. And you can have the lot line go down the middle of the duplex and you can sell both sides. But we also in that same ordinance that we passed in 2017, we said you can build 2 separate dwellings, 2 detached dwellings, which means I can put a home on both of those lots that I own,
Each of those ones.
each of those lots, and then I can sell them as individual dwellings. But if I only have 1 lot, I can't do that. I can't build
You can't build it
dwelling
all.
You
I
can't
can't
build,
build it all.
you can't build a single 550 square foot house
on a single
on a
lot.
single lot?
On a single 25 by 125 lot. Which,
Do we have something that says that you physically can't do that, or are we just going by what the setbacks are?
no, our policy currently says that the minimum lot size is 2 lots to build. So,
So I built 2 550 square foot houses in those lots.
you could build.
I can subdivide it and sell them each.
You could.
Oh my God.
You don't even have to sub, there's already subdivided.
Yes.
So
It's
you had
25 by
yeah, it's
125.
about 6,000, 250, yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that and what we might want to change in our policy. So do you want to give me the next one?
Sure, I was gonna try to find that
How many
ordinance.
lots? Oh, how
Do
many
you-
lots does you?
It's 2000, you have to go into Title 10 and click on
Seven.
the revisions to get that, but it's there.
Do you, okay,
Uh,
His is like that too.
Yes, you can read that, but.
Where are we going to?
So the next one is, just informational, but, I wanted to just look at the history of commercial and single-family dwelling permits for the last 25 years. So that's what it looks like. And we have the COVID bump there. Can you put that up?
One with the COVID.
Now, this is strictly town or is this
This is strictly town.
strictly town?
This is,
We had 11 homes built in town in 2020,
that's correct. 11 homes permitted,
permitted, sorry.
okay? Whether they got finished in that 1 year, I don't know, but you can see the pattern there. And then if we look at the next slide, this is all of the subdivisions and PUDs, because I wanted to understand how many vacant residential lots we had.
And I have to ask an
Yeah.
ignorant question. What is the Sangre View Park?
It's not gonna be a part.
Oh, that's a commercial lot inventory. I don't want to be looking at that.
Ignore that line?
Yeah, we can look at that. Sangre View Park is, wait a minute. So that's the market.
Is that the deal behind the gas station?
Yeah,
Where the RV park is?
it's either that or that.
Oh,
It's
I know.
not, it's not that.
That one's up in Silver,
It's this. Here it is.
right here.
Yeah.
Okay. He says it's right there.
Yeah, and so the only thing I'm really looking with the commercial lot inventory is it's an extremely small build out of available lots. So we've got 26 lots. Some of those are pretty good sized. And by the way, this is only for both of these are only lots that have sewer and water on each street adjacent to them. They don't have grinders. So we've got quite a few other lots that do not have sewer and water to them, or that have the ability to put a grinder in and pump ground sewage up to the nearest point. The next one is residential lot inventory. And that's, we've got 177 vacant residential lots. That's scattered between the PUDs and the Clifton Company, and then other, which I couldn't identify what they belong to. And if we look at that 25-year history of permits, and just take the average run rate for that 25 years, that's over a 40-year supply. Talking with a local real estate agent, only about 10% of those are actively on the market. So
This says in my top of my, that's single family, so I don't see
you
this.
gotta go, there you go.
Gotcha.
So a couple of questions came to mind, and by the way, I met Monday with Barry Keene and TJ, who's one of the consultants on the work that's being done on the housing needs study. And TJ's kind of a zoning and planning specialist. And we talked about this because if if you look at 177 lots and maybe an equal number in Silver Cliff, you would think lots would be pretty inexpensive. But there's just too many people that just buy a lot and sit on it. And one of the reasons they can do that is that property taxes are so low on a vacant property. So I think that's a policy that the town needs to look at. And I don't even know if we have the authority to do much there.
Property tax, is set by the state, by the county,
Okay,
not by us.
okay. So the county would have some say in the matter. Okay. But it's certainly an issue when we have that many vacant lots, so few actually available. And so we have lots in Shadow Ridge going for $100,000. And then when you add the building cost to especially in Shadow Ridge, then you're looking at having to have a 6 figure income to qualify for a loan. So we're kind of in a situation where it is a cash buyer's market for us. Especially for new homes of any size, say 1,200 feet or more.
But you keep in mind to with that comparison.
Yeah.
An Adams subdivision lot is 12,000 feet. 12,200. And ours is 6,250. Just.
Yes, yeah. So Shadow Ridge lots are
Twice as big.
huge. And by the way, if we go back to that chart where I showed, when I say minimum lot size, that was just the smallest lot
That they had.
that they have.
Okay.
So they have lots that are much bigger than 19,000.
The sheriff's office is huge.
And then a comment on Adams filing 2, the smallest lot was 12,000 and change. But we did a lot split that we shouldn't have done. So we took 5 lots and split them into 10 lots. And even after the split, it was 7,400 foot for the lot. So we really didn't have the authority as the town to do that lot split back in the day, but we did. So water under the bridge.
So
Uh,
on this chart that's up, sorry to interrupt.
that's okay.
Minimum lot size, is that the single lot or is that the dual lot size?
That's for the Clifton Company, that's the dual lot size. And
Okay.
so a single lot is exactly half of that.
31,
And so let's continue. I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Melanie. Keep it up with me. Just to know, so this is current town policy. And it's interesting that all of those square footages for minimum lot size are basically a multiple of 25 by 125 lot. So we've kind of based our town zoning on that original 1880 plat. And it's kind of grown from there. As we go forward and deem some of these PUDs inactive and take back control of the zoning for those, then this zoning doesn't make sense for them. But I just wanted to point something out here. So currently, I said this before, if I've got 2 lots, I can build a duplex. Plus I can add 2 ADUs to that. So I can essentially build a 4-plex based on our current policy. And then I wanted to look at, well, what do we have in town for multifamily? And we allow multifamily, a 3 to 6 plex in a traditional neighborhood. we don't have any vacant traditional neighborhood lots in town that I could find. So that, without basically taking some of those lots that have homes on them, scraping them off. We don't
You're
have that.
talking about the original Clifton subdivision?
What's that?
Are you speaking of the original? Clifton?
I am, yeah.
But it says here you have 21 vacant lots.
In the original, yes, but those are traditional neighborhood zones. So we have a zoning classification called traditional neighborhood,
Yes.
okay, that allows a business, it allows a single family home, and it also allows up to a sixplex on 2 lots on that same 6,250. And then our current multifamily zoning designation bumps that up by a factor of 2, so you need 4 lots, 12,500. But again, we double the lot size, but we only allow 6 units. Same as on half the lot size for additional neighborhoods. So again, it just doesn't make any sense. We have no lots in town that are
Well,
zone
that's,
multifamily.
in this case, I don't think that's necessarily true. Because in the residential multifamily, that basically just gives those areas deliberately less dense.
Yes, you could say that, but if we're.
But in residential
If I
neighborhoods that are
put,
not,
if I
in
put,
residential neighborhoods that are not designated as traditional family or traditional neighborhoods, people are going to want that.
but we have no lots, we have nothing right now that is zoned multifamily.
Okay,
No vacant.
which,
No, nothing.
okay, which,
Oh, yes, we do have some that
No
have built.
commercial building, that
Yeah.
apartment building there.
Yeah.
but my point is people that are in the residential and not in the traditional neighborhood
Yeah,
are probably not gonna want a plex of 12 in that neighborhood.
I think, I totally agree with you. However, the reason I'm putting this up here is we need to start looking at commercial properties to be rezoned multifamily because
Because we don't have multifamily.
we don't have any multifamily. And where those make the most sense.
And I'm not cool with that, but I guess the way you stated it a moment ago is this is parallel with the other single lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
In this case, I don't think it's quite parallel.
what we need are the right location for this. And my view on this, for the multifamily designation is you just say, maybe you say a minimum of 6 or 6 or more, because it's the height limitation and the setbacks and the parking that control how many units you're gonna get. Right?
Well, there's what available lots would even be available for that?
I think it would have to be something zone commercial right now. And so we'd have to look at the map, and I think that's a conversation for another meeting. But first, we kind of have to go through
Yeah, I mean,
where we are.
anything that's not in the PUD anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a whole lot that would be vacant,
I
that could
don't
fall,
think,
that could be changed.
there are several that I can think
Right.
of. And also the minimum is, we're gonna talk a little bit about what makes sense for a minimum lot size for multifamily. It doesn't have to be that big.
Okay. Well, what about? Since as far as PUDs go, the one that is the biggest wreck of them would be Vivian de Parquet.
Yes,
Why don't we go after that one first and then do what you want to do?
I think within that PUD are some good options for multifamily.
That would be. I mean, that would probably be the low hanging fruit, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Well, we do have a subdivision, somebody mentioned behind the gas station to the east of the gas station on Hermit Road.
Right.
And 69. Those are all,
Is that part of the Ginsburg, okay?
no, it's, John had it here, it was it's,
I think it actually might be part of the Vivian.
Or is that Sangre View?
Sangre View is what I thought it was.
Oh, yes, with a magnifying glass, I could tell you.
You could, John, Chuck's got one right.
But I think, yes, behind the gas station is,
Yeah.
those lots are good prospects for multifamily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's right across the area. Now, this lot that's, right across from the apartments that in Vivian de Parquet,
Yes,
to the north, there's a vacant lot there.
kind of odd shaped,
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one,
for
too.
Multifamily too.
I
I
agree.
think it needs to have fill because I think it goes down, but still,
Yeah,
builder could have something in there if they wanted to.
yeah,
And the townhomes are right there,
yeah,
so.
so it makes sense.
No, but those are also still PUDs though, so we're still, that's
I
not.
think that PU it's been abandoned or it's.
I understand we got several of them and that, and I guess I was thinking that was Vivian de Parquet. Between Vivian de Parquet and this Sangre View,
The
they're
way I understand.
so
it, Paul,
defunct.
even if they're inactive, abandoned, if the developers are long gone, they still have force in law. And so we have to go through a process to say, the town does, we say, this is inactive. We're gonna get, and I'm guessing now, because we need to talk to the new attorney about what the process is. We need to get all of the property owners together, notify them that we're deeming them inactive and that all of the previous documentation is null and void. So, and here's gonna be the new zoning regulation for where you live. And that's gonna take a while.
So, excuse me. So what you just said was there's a subdivision that was built, developed, and no HOA or anything was finalized or, I mean, it was set up, but nobody ever
Yeah,
finalized
and a
it.
PUD is different than a subdivision, but these are PUDs.
Okay,
So yes, it was set up, there was a development agreement supposedly signed by the town, going back whenever it was done, that we said, okay. But with the exception of Mission Plaza, there was no, and ideally, it would have been a mandatory HOA where people are paying dues, and that HOA would then kind of be in control of that PUD going forward, including, maintaining the roads and open spaces and that sort of thing. That didn't happen for most of these because, one, it's hard to sell a property that's got a mandatory HOA. People tend to shy away from that. And the developers could just, once they'd sold a certain amount of lots, just walk away. The town took over responsibility for the roads and open space. And but the original agreement is still force of law sitting there. And so we need to change that. Our PUD ordinance in the town ideally would have had a provision that says, that this basically, ends at a certain point, or it ends when the developer has sold X amount of lots and it reverts to the town, but we didn't have that language. So here we are. We've got some work to do, it's just gonna take some time.
And we're sitting in one of those defunct PUDs right now.
Okay. I'm just saying, in Douglas County,
Yeah,
we owned a home in Roxborough Village,
okay,
and it had an HOA set up.
Okay.
But it had never been used, finalized, whatever.
Yeah.
And to get it into an HOA, everybody in the original HOA would have had to vote, yes, I want an HOA. And that was never gonna happen.
right.
So,
Same, it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
So these PUDs that don't have HOAs, in the best case, they can have a voluntary HOA where half the owners say, yes, I agree to be in that HOA. But they can't enforce CCNRs. A voluntary HOA cannot do that. They can only be enforced by one lot owner suing another lot owner, which is not a good way to run a town. So, okay,
So let me ask another question, Steve.
okay,
So just hypothetically, let's say that we were gonna go off or start to work on Vivian de Parquet
it's
first.
the oldest one, so maybe we'd start with that.
Okay, so plus.
And nobody's paid any attention to the zoning of it at all
I don't think so. Yeah.
historically,
So
so.
would we revert, whatever their lot size, I have no idea. But would we revert them to have 25 by 125
No.
size lots?
We would not change lot
We
lines.
wouldn't change the
We
plot.
would not change the
at
plat
all.
at all, not touch it at all.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting topic, isn't it?
Well, I'm just curious, I mean, if you wanna get the current homeowners buy-in on this, you wanna make it so it's advantageous to them.
I think they've got to see benefit from it too. I think that's important. I don't think we want to be authoritarian about this at all.
Right.
I just put this picture of Fading West fiveplex because they just did a noodle on a napkin, and you could get two of those on a 12,500 square foot lot. So that's 10 units easily, and I imagine if you worked harder, you could get more. But that is beside the point.
Just as another quick question, does anybody have any idea what, the thing that they're planning in Silver Cliff that's gonna have, what is it, 18 addresses or 18 doors on it? How many square foot is that thing?
Their lots are 50 by 100.
I have no idea what.
I-
Silver Cliff zoning.
Silver Cliff has adopted the International Planning Code, which is restrictive in many ways. We're gonna talk about what we might do going forward. I just put this in there as just a reminder of, this is right out of our Title 10. It's the 3 criteria for rezoning something. There's actually like 2 or 3 paragraphs leading up to those 3 criteria. And one of the paragraphs says that we make it hard to rezone because we have given a considerable amount of thought to the zoning decisions, and therefore we're gonna make it hard. I think that's not true. If we look at Shadow Ridge, I'll pick on Shadow Ridge again. They have deep within the subdivision, they have commercial lots that you have to drive in and around to get to. And if you look at the allowable uses on those lots, it's absurd. So no one gave it a lot of thought. I think the original developers just said, let's put as many things in there as possible, because that'll give us the best chance of selling one of these things. And so, especially that deep, right next to homes, it just makes no sense at all.
Regarding the Vivian de Parquet, would it make sense and could we change that to traditional neighborhood since it's already got business lots on it? And if you wanna put residential and multifamily?
We could do that, but I'll go back to my conversation with TJ, because we had a lengthy conversation about all of this, and he said, you need a mixed use zone, and which we don't have. And then he suggested that we look at the model municipal land use policy that DOLA has. And I'm gonna share some of the information today out of that document.
What do you mean we don't have a mixed use? Cause we do.
Well, we do, but he said we need more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we have mixed use that says.
Or core commercial is a mixed use.
Yes, yeah. Theoretically. And even that, if you look at it, and I don't know where that applies, we've got two categories that say, I think it's B1 PUD and B2 PUD. I don't even know what that means yet. I think it applies to Adams filing 1. But I don't know. I have to read the language.
Yeah, I know Caleb worked on that language quite a bit, but what came down to, I don't know.
Yeah. So,
Very nondescript language though.
so I'm just gonna, quickly go over that. This is from Strong Towns. This is 6 policies. We do pretty good in the Clifton historical subdivision. None of these things apply to the PUDs, but we allow a single family conversion or a duplex or a triplex by right in the old historical, at least since 2017. We allow backyard cottages, which is basically ADUs. We allow a starter home because we allow a minimum size of 550 in the old historical area. We have not eliminated the minimum lot size. I think we need to allow building on a single 25 by 125. We need to talk about parking mandates because our current parking regulations make it very difficult and expensive to build. We don't get a lot of property taxes for a parking space. And so we'll look at our parking regulations, and then we'll look at what the DOLA model code says about that, because it reduces the number of parking spaces by quite a bit.
Well, trying to remember, of course, I live in the old part of town, so we park in the alley. But people can park on the street too.
Yeah.
And where I live, it's not striped. So you can park angle parking or parallel parking.
Right.
Angle obviously gives you more parking, and the streets are wide enough to allow.
Yeah,
So.
I agree.
That would be one thing, just that simple fix would be one thing to look at.
Jerry, you did a back of the napkin on how many parking spaces are in town, on-street parking spaces.
What did they say, 3,000 or something?
That's what I recall.
I thought you said 4,000, over 4,000,
Go conservative and say 3.
but 3,000 makes the point.
It does.
Right, the town of 470 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
It's almost 10-1, 8-1.
yeah. So we got, so, parking is not a problem. So anyway, I think we have some flexibility, especially in the older part of town, to change our parking requirements.
What about street maintenance though? If there's a snowstorm or something like that and you wanna plow or clean or whatever, do we want people to be able to have a place to park so they can
Okay.
do those kind of functions?
It's something to consider.
I used to live in Michigan. You didn't have your car off the street, they towed it during a snowstorm.
Yeah, yeah.
People just pull them up in their yards.
Yeah.
So, because they didn't want to get it towed, so but you gotta plow,
Yeah,
Right?
you can't do all this. We have that problem right now on Main Street.
I think
On Second Street, there's
Yeah.
first block, Second Street going south.
we have an ice rink on between Second and Third every winter that we need to do something about. The reason I put this and the reason I wanted to share it because Chuck is new is our policy for ADUs says that you have to build a primary residence and get a certificate of occupancy before you can build the ADU. The problem is ADUs can be attached, and so that doesn't make any sense. It also, even if it is detached, it's a great way for someone to get a foot in to build the ADU first, and then if they're putting a lot of sweat equity into it, they can be living on the property in their ADU while they build their residence. So I think
We just went all through that last year.
so we need to change the wording because if it is an attached ADU, obviously it needs to be built with the primary residence.
Now, Round Mountain is gonna come up with a policy regarding ADUs,
I hope so.
and they have not done that, I don't think, have they, Melanie?
They said it would take up to a year.
They what?
It would take up to a year.
Okay, well, the enthusiasm.
By the way, Paul, I talked to Buck about their policy.
Yeah,
And you know Buck, but Buck said, let them try to enforce that.
yeah, Round Mountain,
Yeah, because they have no way to enforce it unless the town agrees to enforce it.
well, they can shut your water off.
Buck says they can only shut your water off if you fail to pay your bill.
Well, I don't know, I mean, I don't know about a lot of that, and I'm just.
I don't either.
Yeah,
But if you fail to pay
Tap.
your tap fee, isn't that considered failing to pay your bill?
I don't know.
I don't know, but you know,
I'm just saying that it's that for the people in the audience, okay, because this sounds strange. So let's say I've got a home here. You have a home, people have homes here. And I want to put a 300 square foot ADU off the alley and rent it out. And the current Round Mountain policy says, if that ADU is not attached to the primary dwelling, you need to pay the full amount of a brand new tap fee of $28,500, which just kills the economics of a 300 square foot ADU. But if I've got an attached garage and I convert that to an ADU, then no problem, I don't have to pay anything extra.
Or attachment in any way?
Or attached to.
You don't have to,
Anyway,
but
so
it's
it's a
detached to do.
policy they can't explain or defend. Bob Fulton did some research on what other water and sewer districts are doing, and they're saying, okay, it's an $800 fee for that instead of a full tap, because it didn't make any sense to bring an entire new sewer and water line into that little tiny thing.
Does attached mean a common wall?
Common wall
Or floor,
or floor.
So could you put a pergola in between with a concrete floor that attaches to the two buildings? Would that be attached?
Only if it's enclosed,
a hallway.
Oh, yeah. Has to be enclosed?
yeah. So this has already happened once at Smart Realty, you know, built the second building there. And they built an enclosed hallway between the two. I don't even know if there's doors to it, but just so they could avoid a tap fee. So, anyway, that's a problem for the mayor.
Huh.
So let's talk about some other things. I wanted to, there's in your handout, the beginning of your handout.
Were you talking here?
This one?
Not that one. This one, the colored one, this is copied out of model code, Dill's model code. Before I met with Barry and TJ.
This is Chuck.
It's on the agenda one.
Agenda one,
Yeah, it's.
there it is.
It's this one.
Yeah, this one that looks like this.
Yeah.
John?
No, no,
It's
the other
it's one that looks like this.
Okay, you guys, I'm easily confused, as you,
Okay.
she did this. That's what she does.
You're in the right place.
So, do I
If
go to this document?
there's any, yes, that's the one. If there's any problems with this, blame it on Melanie. Oh.
I have worked so hard today on this.
I got the one, didn't I? That's. I would only do that if you're setting that far.
I know you're seeing.
Okay. So
Are we looking at this page, this is page you want up?
before I met with DJ and got some more expert advice, I took a shot at some suggested changes myself. I think there's some better solutions in this DOLA document. But the whole attitude I had here is how do we improve affordability? In the town. And so that's what you're looking here at all of these actually. It starts off here on page one. Here's our existing, our single family. Like I said before, it's really based on the historical Clifton Company plat. And right now, that's what it says. You have to have two lots, which is 6,250. And those are the setbacks. We have an alley in this area, so an alley makes it. So different setbacks or setbacks, depending on whether you got alley or not, makes sense. Number of dwellings up to 2 plus ADUs. So now I'm looking at bringing these PUDs on board with the town. And so I've got residential SF1 that applies to Adams and Vivian DeParquet. And it adds the ability to have ADUs. Minimum home size of 1,200, which is kind of consistent with what's already there. Minimum lot size of 7,000. I think there's there's better numbers for that, looking at the DOLA document.
Well, you're really talking about, Vivian Evans and Vivian McKay,
Yes,
and so. I mean, those lots are already there.
those lots are already there, so, so basically we have to say something, if you have something less than 7,000 in those, and I don't think that's the case, but we have to have somebody to say a grant.
But you know what, up in that Adams, we looked at a house in Adams, and it was a 1,200 square foot house.
Yeah.
And it actually spanned across 3 lots. Out of the cul-de-sac. There were like 3 lots like that, and the house was in the middle,
Okay,
like, kind of like that.
okay, yes,
Piece
yeah,
that I showed you
Yeah.
in my house,
yes,
so.
yes, that does happen. So, but it also gives us the ability, because some of the lots are existing lots there are twice as big as that,
As
and now we
lots
can
of
do a
two.
lot split. Which is, it benefits the town to get more density, to be able to build more housing where infrastructure already exists, where streets that we're already maintaining have more houses associated with them. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not stuck on any of these, I'm just putting them down.
Well, let's go back to the Portfolio 7,000 square foot. If we did 50 by 125, that's 6,250 for the Clifton lots that you could build on. I mean, you need
Yeah.
2 of those.
Yeah.
But are you suggesting that we try to force them or whatever to accept a lot size of 6,250 or what?
No, I'm not.
Okay, we're up in Shadow Ridge, 10,000.
Well, in Shadow Ridge, let's flip back and forth here a little bit. So let's look at this document.
Yeah.
Which
Okay, this one.
And we can go with that.
Okay, so, so they've got, and they actually have in the green highlighted area, kind of what the thinking is behind this. So residential low density, kind of fits with, Shadow Ridge, because those are big lots.
Well, 20,000 square feet is like,
Quarter of an acre,
it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
actually, almost half an acre.
half an acre.
so,
An acre is 44,000.
so I think when we were, let's see. So Shadow Ridge, and I was just flipping around on the assessor's parcel map, the smallest lot is 19,002. So Shadow Ridge is a good fit for this.
Right.
And then they have different setbacks associated with this. Interesting, for an accessory building, the rear setback is 5. So this is a model land development code from DOLA that kind of fits Shadow Ridge. And I'm thinking, as we go through this, and we begin to talk to all of the property owners in Shadow Ridge about moving off of the PDU and back onto the town, so this might be a good model, not everything here, but a good model for what we want to do in Shadow Ridge. They also have a building height of 38 feet.
Ours is, I think Shadow Ridge is 30, yeah.
That's Shadow Ridge is unstated.
What was it?
Yeah, so in their documentation, they did not determine a building height.
Was it, the town has a limit of 35, I think.
It's 30 in residential
Yeah,
and 35 out.
35.
Yeah, yeah. So let's flip back and forth here a little bit. And maybe let's just stick with the DOLA.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 3.
Let's go what?
Yeah.
This one.
So this is the medium density that might be nicely applicable to Vivian, the Parquet and Adams. And with a 500 square foot minimum. And
500 square foot for the dwelling, you mean?
500 square foot for the lot. No,
5,000.
5,000, yeah, yeah. Pardon me. And then, and 38 feet again. I have to understand why they're finding 38 feet to be the right number. And then there's the residential small lot. And I think this one is applicable for the historical part of our town. So that it's 2,500 square feet, which means that a single lot, this is page 5, if you're looking, Chuck. Yeah. And that's, what it's showing there is something actually a little bit like Fading West factory built 2-story home. And again, it's 38 feet, so I have to, that might not be something we want to do, but that's what they're looking at. And then if you flip to page 7, I thought this was interesting. So they're calling this flexible mix, but it's really multifamily. And the minimum lot size is 3,000 square feet. So 4.6 but you can see, they've upped the building height to 50 feet because, that one building you're looking at is 3 stories high.
It kind of looks like the stuff on there, just wide.
That's
Architecturally the same, but
yeah,
3 stories.
but it's similar. And again, this is a model we can pick and choose and do anything we want with it.
I think we should talk about, we talk about more density and so forth in the town. And then we talked about these high density areas, medium and low. I think we're pretty well set on the land that's already been developed, Clifton, Adams, Shadow Ridge, Mission Plaza, and so forth. I don't know, there's vacant lots all over the place in those developments.
Yes, there are.
And the question is, you live in Adams?
I'm an oddball. I live in Adams, but my home and lot was there before the subdivision, so
Yeah.
it's
But still, would you want up to allow people with vacant lots there to split them and have more higher density as a resident of that area.
I actually wouldn't mind that,
But
because so many of those lots, they're over 12,000.
yeah,
So, when you split them, they're still good sized lots.
Yeah. but you have that, those lots on the highway that look like chicken coops, the houses do.
That's
Very nice houses, by the way, I was in those.
if you get inside them, the layout is very nice.
It's very nice, yeah.
But the fact that they're identical and all sheet and steel.
Yeah.
Architecturally, they're pretty ugly.
Yeah, so, but you can't we're not gonna try to control that, we don't have an architectural review committee, maybe we should.
Yeah.
I knew that was pointed right at you.
He said,
We know what your vote is, Chris.
Well, I know a lot of people wouldn't go for that, so just brought it up for John's
Yeah.
justice benefit. Anyway, we should look at maybe these lots down here, which are next to where we're going to try to do affordable housing, but all these lots here, if it goes over to here, then maybe you could zone those high density or multifamily or whatever. And we don't want, I don't know if you were in this room, we had those meetings and people were really absolutely going nuts over, the height of an apartment house,
Right.
blocking their view.
Yeah.
And so forth, so I don't think we could go higher than 35 feet. I don't know, I've been over to Fading West and looked at some of their two-story houses, they're certainly at 35, I don't know what 3 stories would be, but
I think their two-story ones might even fall within 30 feet.
could be.
Yeah.
And so, the question is, we'll find out soon what this, the needs assessment's pointing out in terms of what our need and demand is gonna be.
I think rezoning those, I think that's a great place for a higher density.
Yes.
And even if they're just zoned, as they are currently, I can build a fourplex.
Yes.
On two 20-foot, 25-foot wide lots. I can do that right now without us changing
so
anything.
that's the lowest hanging fruit we have.
Yeah,
So it seems to me that I'd rather concentrate on the development of that property, simply because we're bringing water and sewer
yeah,
to it. We're gonna meet tomorrow with Round Mountain on that. And while it won't be right there on their property, it'd be close enough for them, the developer, to run a line,
yes,
so.
or they could put grinders in,
I'm sorry,
they could put grinders in,
well, they could, except
although
it
I don't
flows.
like that idea.
It flows, so they
Yeah.
don't have to.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just seems like from a practical standpoint of our usage of time, to just focus on those things where we can actually we can do it the way we want. Of course, we have to let the property owners know all that, but still in all, maybe that's the way we should head with this. Just-
Yeah, but like I say, doing nothing, we can still build fourplexes there.
Yeah.
I just want to make another comment, in speaking with TJ, who was part of the team, doing our housing needs assessment. Because we looked at this map and he said, you really, it's great to focus on affordable housing. It's great to do that. But you really need to take a look at everything. This map has grown organically over decades, several decades. Whether it makes sense, because he said, you need to take a hard look at everything there. And because you probably have the wrong mix in terms of footprint of commercial and industrial and residential. The build out on the commercial side has been extremely slow. if you're building a commercial building, you've got to go to the Front Range to find an engineer, an architect, and a contractor. Because we don't have that ecosystem of contractors and developers here in the county. But if the mix is wrong, then you've got a problem. And almost certainly the mix is wrong, because we've never sat back and took a hard look at whether it's the right mix or not. Obviously, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing right now. No one's gonna come in, say wholesale with their business. Let's say they're doing business in Centennial, and bring their business and their 40 employees into town because they can't house their employees. No one's gonna build a business because they're from scratch. Let's say I want to come in and build a cabinet manufacturing business here and take advantage of local talent. There isn't the local talent. There isn't the housing for the local talent. So that's the chicken and egg thing. So we certainly have to solve the affordable housing or the workforce housing issue, or begin to do it. It's gonna take a while, and not just one project is gonna do it. But changing our thinking about how we zone things is part of the solution. And then, do we have more commercial vacant lots and industrial vacant lots than we're ever gonna need right now? I don't know.
I own a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So how come you haven't done so?
Well, there you go.
I don't have water or sewer.
Oh, really? So, yeah. And so,
If we.
and
Yeah,
the point I'm making is, we can sit here and talk about it. But I think we need outside help to navigate this the best way.
well, if we, let's say, take Adams subdivision, and for an example, since Shadow Ridge seems to still be under a PUD.
Well, Shadow Ridge is, they're all under a PUD.
I thought Shadow Ridge was the only active one.
No, Mission Taza is the only active one. Shadow Ridge is inactive, the developers are long gone.
Yeah.
There's no HOA there.
So, but we could say, you could, if you want, you could take your lot and you could divide it into 2 lots if you want.
Right?
And,
If we change the minimum size, yeah.
we could say that change the minimum size of the lot. to
Yeah, there is no minimum right now, it's just platted. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
stated minimum.
In the same way.
But it says in the development agreement, no lot will be subdivided. And has force of law right now until we change that. We've got one lot that's come up for the Board of Trustees to look at, because we think it should be rezoned to residential.
Yes.
That same owner wants to subdivide that lot. We can't do that. We don't have the agency to do that until we go through this process.
But again, still, the people on Shadow Ridge could get together to allow it, and if they allow it, then we could allow it.
Right, but it's like Nadine's comment, if I could get everybody in my subdivision to vote to have a mandatory HOA, we could do that, and that's never gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But basically, it's not, the restriction isn't really here, it's what's gonna happen there.
They could get together as a group and do that.
And then we would just go, oh, okay.
And then then they would give us the agency to do that, because they don't have the
Right.
agency to do that.
Right. But the same would apply for PUDs if they wanted to. I mean,
Yes, but again, it's not gonna happen. They're not gonna form a mandatory HOA and revive the PUD. that are just inactive, and it's on us to take back control of that property.
John, I have a meeting at 5.
Okay.
So, and I have to prepare for it, so, you know, if I leave here at 20 of, I can get it done. So
I think we've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish
we
today.
have more than a mouthful here.
I wanted to just get this on the table for the planning commission members so we can begin to think about actually taking some actions. And we really are stymied right now without a town attorney, so we need a town
It's gonna be
attorney.
a while.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
Well, what, in the case of assuming control over these
Yes,
defunct PUDs. Again, Vivian de Parquet, I don't see a problem because again, there's been no pushback on any of the kind of development that's been happening at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Shadow Ridge, on the other hand, if we try to take over that, I would see resistance.
I don't think it gets positioned as taking over.
Yeah.
I would say that the people in Shadow Ridge would really like to be able to do ADU. But if someone comes in here for a permit for an ADU, we've got to say, no, it's not allowed.
Why?
Because
We don't have the authority.
because only one dwelling unit can be on a lot according to the original PUD agreement.
I see, okay.
So they would have to get the majority of their people
Oh,
together and say, yes. And then
they'd have to do that, but it'd be much easier for the town, for that to become a subdivision and fall under the policies of the town.
Should we go for the high hanging fruit first then?
I remember that subdivision going in. And it was early 2000, it says 2004 here. And I remember that, them coming to the board meeting, Paul Snyder was our attorney. And we required paved streets, curb and gutter,
Sidewalk.
lighting, and so forth. So they had to meet our standards at that point in time,
Yep,
if they wanted us to maintain the streets. And they did all that. And we have maintained the streets, and we have resurfaced them.
here's another thing that never happened. The original developers were supposed to dedicate the streets in the open space to us. We never found
No,
anything in the
and
file.
then there was something in 2006 where the developer came and said they didn't want to do sidewalks, and the town said, okay, you don't have to do that now.
There was a requirement, see, we had a subdivision requirement, but I think it came out of the state of Colorado statutes, because Paul Snyder, I remember him reading that and going, why don't you, because every time they came back, they had met something, he'd flip the page at the next meeting and had to do something else. It's got really frustrating.
I did find that in the file. The
Yeah.
requirement for the curb and gutter was their standard that they had to meet when they went in.
Right, and there used to be one for sidewalks, but we waived that.
We waived that later. There's nothing we can find in the file about dedicating those to the town. One of the issues that the town should have with taking responsibility for the open space is being indemnified for a grass fire that gets somebody's house burned down. So we shouldn't be responsible for mowing that entire open space.
Or plowing the roads.
Well, but right now, I don't know what an attorney would say, whether we really have responsibility for the roads or not, because there was never anything in writing.
Do we mow them now?
Yeah.
We do?
We don't mow the whole thing, but we mow a 10-foot strip or something like that.
Yeah, and I looked through all the minutes from 2004 to now, and I couldn't find where anything about any of that.
Wow, that's a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Nadine, you have a question?
Yeah, so.
ChatGPT.
We're looking at this rezoning and
How is that?
is it because of the grant for the water and sewer?
No,
No, I'm not.
Did that get passed?
we did, we
doesn't come
were
from-
awarded the grant, but that has nothing to do
Oh,
with
I
the
see.
PDU,
There.
PUD issues.
But I could.
Okay,
You can scan.
all right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
But another thing is, this grant that you were awarded, do you have to use it? Is it imperative, or you can say, okay, thanks, but we're not gonna do it?
Well, we could decline the grant,
Yes.
which would probably really piss off DOLA.
Lola, yeah, it would
And put us
hurt
in-
our relationship with Lola.
But there's no, I can't, why would you decline the grant?
Why would we do it if we have a water treatment plant that can't handle it?
Oh,
That's a good question, and, well, according, listening to Dave Schneider, the manager of Brown Mountain, he thinks he'll have his plant done in 26. So we're not gonna, we're in a Plymouth, we're gonna have.
so we'll have the capacity.
We'll have the capacity.
So the treatment plant will be upgraded and
They're trying to get that done, yes.
Okay.
And,
based on their treatment, the sludge issue,
sludge issues.
yeah, that's
taken care of.
that took forever,
It's done now.
in 2 years, well,
Completely done
it's
now.
done.
Yes,
And,
So we will have, it will be ongoing though.
Yeah.
But.
we'll see if they're, they also have this thing that Dave Schneider's designed to treat all this stuff. If that doesn't work, there's gonna be a project, they're gonna do $1 million test project, I think it's $1 million.
yeah,
I'm not on that board,
yes.
but, that's a lot of money to spend on something that may not work, so.
That's just using the trailer, right?
I don't know what they're gonna do.
It's the electrocoagulator.
Yeah,
right.
Which will be the final treatment after it goes through 3 bonds.
Right,
And so, but we're not the first person to ever do that, so it's already been proven in other locations.
Where is this improvement for the water and sewer, where is that going to be done?
It's gonna be the same place it is right now, so the same treatment ponds are gonna be there.
No, I mean, this grant that we're getting to improve or add on to,
Okay,
Southwest Budget.
that is,
south of the park.
that is.
We bring sewer and water
here, right here,
to the south.
maybe, right here. It's this property here.
I put a circle around it.
And then we were gonna bring water and sewer down here, one over there. And so, it will be, it's about $750,000, I just pulling that on the air, about $750,000. We got a grant and we have to match it with $100 and some odd dollars,
I
$150,000.
understood
186, I think.
we don't have to match it, we got.
It's 25% match.
Is it 25%? So we didn't get the second grant, which said we didn't have to match.
I guess we got 500 something from DOLA and we're matching like 186,000, so
Okay.
it's. So yeah, we're 25% match.
So we just don't
So if we're gonna do that, obviously, we ought to be able to do an ADU without a new tap.
So it's only that little triangle down there where it would
it would
benefit.
be,
The town owns it.
We
The
own this
town
property.
owned white colored property.
Right, it's right in here, and it's a lot more property than you think.
Yeah.
And we looked at it, and Chaffa, housing, whatever it is, has helped us look at it. They've designed it in terms of what we can do there. It will, the last need study we did for the county said we needed between 35 dwellings to 70 dwellings, but that's between the county, Silver Cliff and West Cliff. So if we could get 35 in there, now that's over a period of time, 35 to 70. 35 in 2023, when we did the study. The next study's coming out this month, should be in here anytime soon. And so we'll see what the need is, but it may be just 20 for, yes?
I just wanted to say also, once we get it to that area, all those private owned lots, it'll be easier for them to,
Bill,
yes.
Yes,
So there could be sewer road right
Right.
down the street, they just have to pay to bring it to their property.
So this is where the improvement will be built, but it will benefit all of those lots.
it could benefit all those ones.
It gives them
the-
possibility or an opportunity to
it makes
access
it
that,
much less
whether they
expensive.
do
Yeah,
And those are all residential.
currently.
They're currently residential.
There's a lot over there,
That's a traditional neighborhood though, isn't it?
No.
That's
there's a
residential.
lot over there for sale. It says no water or sewer, they're asking 40 grand for it.
But keep in mind, to get that,
That's,
grant, we had to pretty much say that we were gonna put more than single family housing in those town owned lots. Cause the grant was based upon a
Density.
little higher density, I'm stating that correctly, right?
yes,
Okay,
So-
so what other shoestrings are attached to that grant?
None, we don't.
As far as, they can tell us,
it's just infrastructure. They can't tell us what to build, they can't tell us who to rent it to, they can't do anything like that.
make it look,
If we just put single families
No
in, then
busing
somebody
in
would cry
Marshalls.
about it, and probably try to sue us,
darn it, I'm not even.
sue the town for it. But
all right.
I don't think I think what you're hitching for is there a string that we're gonna have to put migrants in there or low.
Section 8
income,
housing.
Section 8 housing.
There's no strings like that.
I don't think there's anything like that.
There's not,
So, any parting shots, Chris? Thank you. I needed that. Any more questions, Jerry, Nadine?
So we just need, I think, Chris or John, that the next meeting, we need to chew off a chunk that we can really work on in that meeting rather than, this is really broad.
This is broad, and you added to the broadness.
I did.
Yes, you did.
With your map.
By your secret map.
It's like a double
Double secret.
Backbook.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll zero in, assuming our
This
next
was the-
meeting, we don't have actual business.
right,
This was here's the target.
Here's, yeah, this,
Well, I think what we should do then
Target's not a good.
is look at Vivian de Parquet, see how we want our ideal of the zone of what, and Vivian and that other one. The one where you wanna put the higher density homes or the
Of the town.
multifamily,
That same review,
yeah.
yes, maybe.
Look at those two, see how we wanna really, again, our ideal. And then we would have something to propose to the lot owners. And go from there.
Okay.
Pie in the sky and then.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's,
Are we adjourned?
yes, we are adjourned.